Hello everybody and welcome back to another tutorial. In today's tutorial, I'm going to be showing you how to make a basic X-base cuff. Finally, am I right? There are plenty of other tutorials out there on YouTube, but I thought I would go ahead and just upload my own version of this. Your X-base cuff is going to be super important for your more advanced journey into candy making. It is going to be the basis for a majority of your projects. So that being rotating cuffs or even mini UFO cuffs. So it's super important that as you advance in your candy journey that we learn how to make one of these. To start, we're gonna start off with some elastic stretch cord. As per usual, I recommend a 1mm corded stretch cord. Plastic eventually dry rots, but plastic is okay to use. It just won't last as long. Now I am gonna make a cute all blue one, thought that would be fun. And I'm gonna go ahead and start off by making a regular candy single using this pattern. So we're gonna do 2 of one color and then 1 of another. So we are going to continue this pattern until we have a comfortable candy single. Now, I personally like to do 10 of these stopper beads, is like what I like to call them. So I'm gonna do this until I have 10 of these middle beads here. And there we have it, a basic candy single using this pattern. You can make yours as long or as short as you want. There is no right or wrong way to do it. But again, I like to have 10 of these middle beads here. And then I'm gonna go ahead and tie this off like a normal candy single. Now, depending on the project that you're doing, can depend on how tight you do this. So normally when I make these UFO candy cups, I actually tie them pretty loose because these bumpers hold it together and I really like how stretchy it is. However, if you were just making an X-base cuff, I recommend to make it a little bit tighter or else it doesn't really hold its shape. I tied this one pretty loose just to kind of show you. It'll... Oh! And that is why we tie them tight. Anyways, just gonna pretend like that didn't happen and cut off the tail here. Now we're gonna go ahead and get started with building our actual X. So our string should be in between one of our stopper beads and our 2 middle beads here. So I'm gonna take my string and we wanna make sure that it's in between these 2 beads while we start building. So if it's in between these ones, you're gonna wanna make sure you weave it so that it's in between these 2 guys here, okay? Now, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm going to take 3 beads and I'm gonna do alternating colors so it's a little bit easier for you to see. And I'm going to weave it in to the next stopper bead here. So I'm gonna take my string and I'm gonna weave it through. And I'm gonna pull this pretty tight because again, we're not adding this to a cuff or anything, so we want this to stay. And this should create a little point. And we are going to continue that all the way around. And I, for this video, am going to show you all the steps as if we were in the same room working together. We're going to take our 3 beads, weave it through the next stopper bead, and we're going to pull. Take our 3 beads, weave it through that stopper bead, and pull. Weave it through that stopper bead, and pull. Weave it through that stopper bead, and pull. Add our 3 beads, weave it through that stopper bead, and pull. Add on our 3 beads, weave it through that stopper bead and pull. Our 3 beads, weave it through the stopper bead and pull. And we have 1 more layer to go. So we're gonna add on our 3 beads just like we were before. And we are going to weave it in to the bead that we were before, so that stopper bead, but we're also gonna bring it up through these 2 beads here. So we're gonna weave it up through that point. and we're gonna pull. So now we have successfully stepped up our row. Before my cuff so rudely broke, we are going to go ahead and add our next layer. So if you want these top and bottom parts to match, our middle bead needs to be this color, if that makes sense. So for me, I'm gonna go ahead and add on this color, my stopper bead color, and I'm gonna add this one on again, because I want these to match. So I'm gonna weave it through the point next to it. So we're gonna take our string, weave it through, and we're gonna pull. And we're going to continue this all the way around. So we're gonna add on our 3 beads, and we're gonna weave it through each point and pull. And I'm gonna be pulling my string again pretty tight. And I'm gonna pull. And as you start to pull, you'll notice that your beads start to pull up a little bit. But when we add on the closing beads, as I like to call them, that's when everything is really gonna take shape. Alrighty, we are coming up on our last step here. So I'm gonna add on my 3 beads just like I was before. And I'm still gonna weave it in to that top bead here, but just like how we built up our row, I'm gonna go up these 2 beads right here. So I'm gonna weave it through and then up those 2 beads. So we want it to be sticking out of the middle. And now all we're gonna do is close it off. And the way that we do that is we're gonna add 2 beads. So for me, because I want them to match, I'm gonna do the ones that I did at the bottom. And I am going to weave it through the middle beads, kind of like what we were doing before, except instead of 3 beads, we're just gonna be adding 2. Now, if you want your X base to be taller than this, you will keep building up your X's until it gets as tall as you want. There's really no limits. And once you've built it up as tall as you'd like, that's when you'll add these closing beads on. Alrighty, and we are coming up on the last part. So adding on our 2 beads, and I'm going to weave it into that middle bead just like before. And I'm gonna pull. And that, my friends, completes your basic X cuff. Pretty easy, right? And once you get the hang of it, you'll fly through these. They're super, super, super simple to make. And again, the basis for most of your more advanced Kandi. And I'm gonna go ahead and tie this off. And the way that I'm gonna tie mine off, so I'm gonna take my string, I'm gonna weave it through, and this creates a little loop, and I'm just gonna pull it, and that is going to tie off our cuff. And I'm gonna pull this tight again, because we don't want what happened to happen again. And I'm gonna tie this a handful of times. And once I've tied it off enough, I'm going to cut off my extra string. And ta-da, you have a basic X-base cuff. How awesome is that? These are super, super, super fun to make. Again, the possibility with these bad boys are endless. You can have so much fun with them. And again, you can build them up as tall as you'd like. There is no limit. Alrighty, my friends, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. This video, just like a lot of my others, were all suggestions. If you guys have any comments, questions, or even feedback, please leave them in the comments below. Feedback really, really helps the channel grow. If you have positive, constructive feedback, I want it all. I'm also gonna go ahead and throw up my email right here. If you want to show me the things that you've created using my tutorials, please go ahead and send pictures to my email. I would love to see them. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope this was helping anyone to learn how to make a basic X-base cuff, and I'll see you in the next tutorial. Bye-bye!